Lord Peter Mandelson, the man Keir Starmer handpicked as Britain's ambassador to the United States, was arrested on Monday afternoon, held for 9 hours, released on bail in the early hours of Tuesday morning. The charge? Suspicion of misconduct in a public office. The allegation? That he handed secret government documents to convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. And his response? He says it's all a conspiracy, a fiction. He claims someone fabricated a story that he was about to flee to the Caribbean, and that forced the police to arrest him early. Here's what we're going to uncover today. 1. What Mandelson actually said after his arrest and why his defense raises more questions than it answers. 2. The extraordinary fact that he is now the second high-profile figure arrested on the same charge in a single week, alongside a former member of the royal family. And 3. What this tells us about Keir Starmer's catastrophic judgment in appointing this man to one of the most senior diplomatic posts in the world. The Prince of Darkness has finally been dragged into the light, and what we're seeing is ugly. Let's lay out exactly what happened, because the timeline matters. Lord Peter Mandelson claims he had an agreement with the Metropolitan Police, a voluntary interview scheduled for early March, nice and civilized, at his convenience, the way things are done when you're a member of the establishment. But on Monday, Scotland Yard received intelligence, or at the very least claims, that Mandelson was plotting to flee to the British Virgin Islands, to leave the country, to take up permanent residence abroad. The police acted. They arrested him on Monday afternoon. He was held for 9 hours, released on bail in the early hours of Tuesday. Now, here's where Mandelson's response gets interesting, and by interesting, I mean deeply suspicious. He told friends, and this was promptly leaked to the Times, that the flight risk story was complete fiction. He said the police were told they had to improvise an arrest, and then he asked the question he clearly wants everyone to focus on: who or what is behind this? He even joked, or at least his allies briefed, that fleeing to the Caribbean would mean leaving behind his dog and his husband. How droll, how very Mandelson. Deflect with humor, redirect attention from the substance of the arrest to the process of the arrest. But here's what that deflection is designed to obscure. The Metropolitan Police did not arrest a former cabinet minister, a sitting peer of the realm, and a recently appointed U.S. ambassador on a whim. They arrested him on suspicion of misconduct in a public office. That is a serious criminal offense. It carries a maximum sentence of life imprisonment. The question is not who triggered the arrest. The question is, what did Mandelson allegedly hand to Jeffrey Epstein and why? But it gets worse, because Mandelson is not the only high-profile figure arrested on this charge in the past week. Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, the man formerly known as Prince Andrew, stripped of his royal title by the king, was arrested last Thursday. The same suspicion, misconduct in a public office. He too has denied any wrongdoing. Think about that for a moment. In the space of 5 days, a former cabinet minister and a former member of the royal family have both been arrested in connection with the Epstein scandal, both on the same charge, both protesting their innocence. This is unprecedented in modern British history. We have never seen anything like this. A peer of the realm and a royal, both in police custody within days of each other, both linked to the same convicted pedophile and sex trafficker. And yet, if you listen to the political class, the media establishment, and the lawyers now circling this story, the narrative they want you to focus on is process. Was the arrest justified? Was the flight risk real? Were Mandelson's rights respected? Nobody in that world wants to talk about the substance. Nobody wants to ask the hard questions. What was the nature of Mandelson's relationship with Epstein? What documents are alleged to have been shared? What market-sensitive government information may have been passed from the heart of Gordon Brown's government to a man who was trafficking young women? Now stay with me, because later in this video, I'm going to connect these arrests to a pattern that goes back decades, a pattern of establishment protection that is only now finally starting to crack. And when you see the full picture, you'll understand why this moment is so significant. Keep watching. Let's examine Mandelson's defense more closely, because it tells you everything about how the establishment operates when it's cornered. His lawyers, Mishcon de Reya, one of the most expensive and powerful law firms in the country, issued a statement. They said the arrest was made despite an agreement with the police for a voluntary interview. They called the flight risk claim baseless. They said Mandelson's overriding priority is to cooperate with the police investigation and to clear his name. Now parse that language carefully. Cooperate with the investigation, clear his name. These are standard legal phrases designed to project calm authority. But notice what's missing. There is no denial with the underlying allegations, no direct rebuttal of the claim that documents were passed to Epstein, no explanation of the nature of his relationship with the financier. Instead, the entire defense is built around attacking the process of the arrest. Why was he arrested early? Who fed the police the flight risk story? This is classic Mandelson, classic Prince of Darkness. Don't answer the question that matters. Create a different question. Control the narrative. Make the story about the police, not about you. But the media is falling for it. Headlines this morning are about whether the arrest was procedurally justified, about Mandelson's dog, about his Caribbean travel plans, not about what he allegedly did. Meanwhile, the Met has declined to comment, which means they're taking this seriously. When the police refuse to engage with a suspect's public narrative, it's because they don't want to compromise an active investigation. That silence tells you more than any press statement. Now, let's connect this to the man sitting in Downing Street, because none of this can be separated from Keir Starmer's decision-making. Starmer appointed Mandelson as ambassador to the United States. That was his call, his judgment. He chose a man with known links to Jeffrey Epstein, links that were publicly documented, widely reported, and extensively discussed, and elevated him to one of the most senior diplomatic posts in the world. The Epstein files were not a secret. Mandelson's visits to Epstein's properties were not a secret. The photographs were not a secret. And yet, Starmer looked at all of that and said, "This is the man I want representing Britain in Washington." That decision alone should be a resignation matter. But in today's politics, accountability is a foreign concept. And here is the pattern I promised you, the pattern that stretches back decades. Mandelson has been forced to resign from government twice before, once in 1998 over an undisclosed home loan, once in 2001 over the Hinduja passport affair. Both times he came back. Both times the establishment rehabilitated him. Both times he was given another chance, another position, another platform. This is how it works in Britain. If you're connected enough, if you know the right people, if you've accumulated enough leverage over enough powerful figures, you are functionally untouchable. You can fail upwards indefinitely, until you can't. And that is what's different about this moment. The police are not deferring. They are not waiting for convenient voluntary interviews. They are executing arrests. They are searching properties. They are seizing evidence. For the first time in this saga, the machinery of the law appears to be functioning regardless of who the suspect is. Whether that continues remains to be seen. The establishment has a long history of protecting its own. But right now, today, a former cabinet minister is on police bail, a former royal is on police bail, and a prime minister is sitting in Downing Street wondering how he ever thought appointing Peter Mandelson was a good idea. So let's bring it all together. Lord Mandelson has been arrested on suspicion of misconduct in a public office. He was held for 9 hours. He claims the arrest was triggered by a fabricated story about fleeing to the Caribbean. His lawyers are attacking the process. He is not addressing the substance. Meanwhile, Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor was arrested on the same charge days earlier. two of the most prominent figures in British public life, both linked to Epstein, both in the custody of the Metropolitan Police within a single week. And Keir Starmer, the man who appointed Mandelson, the man who elevated him, the man who vouched for him, has nothing credible to say. This is not just a scandal. This is a reckoning. For Mandelson, for the establishment that protected him, and for the Prime Minister whose judgment put him back at the heart of power. If you agree that this government is failing, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because this story has a long way to go, and I will be here for every single twist.